Jess Kenyon from the Stockton PD Department, California. And I will hand it over to my co-host, Connie O'Dea. Please.
Okay, thank you, Doug. And I'm so glad to be here today. And with our guest, we have, like Doug said, we have the Senior Chaplain, Jess Kenyon from the Stockton, California Police Department. I'd like to tell you a little bit about this amazing man. He has had over 20 years of experience in outreach in the community, mission, and also youth ministry through the Church of Christ. Now, before his volunteering with the Stockton Police Department, Senior Chaplain Jess worked as a sworn peace officer with the Myrtle Creek, Oregon Police Department for 5 years. And he served with distinction as a U.S. Navy corpsman operating with the United States Marine Corps and the United States Navy SEALs for 10 years. And then he was deployed during this time to Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm. So he really comes to our community here in Stockton, California with a fantastic background and so much to offer our community. And right now I'd like to introduce the Senior Chaplain for the Stockton Police Department. And I would like to have him tell us about his job and what goes on with the chaplaincy at the Stockton Police Department.
Thank you, Connie.
And welcome.
Thank you very much, Doug.
Thank you.
Really appreciate this opportunity. It's been a real privilege to spend a little bit of time with both of you and talk about the work that we're doing with the Stockton Police Chaplaincy.
Excellent, yes.
It's a very exciting work and one that I think is really important for our community. The Stockton Police Chaplaincy is a fairly large program. We have 30 chaplains, and most of the chaplains are actually volunteers. They volunteer from the ranks of the pastors in our city. So each of our chaplains are volunteers based on the time that they can get away from their own churches. So they pastor full churches on their own.
Wonderful.
And then they come and spend time supporting the work with the Stockton Police Chaplaincy. Right now, I am the only full-time paid chaplain. We're paid not through the city, but through the chaplaincy itself. We're a non-profit, and we survive on the private donations.
The private donations now,
Yes.
where do you get, or who does some of the donating?
Oh, we have a variety of folks throughout the community. Several of the churches donate to the work. We have quite a few individuals in the community that appreciate the work of the chaplaincy and donate. And we have fundraisers that we do through the year. In fact, October 12th, we'll have our friend raising dinner coming up. And,
oh, wonderful. We have to talk about that before you leave.
Absolutely. I'll share a little
Right.
as I can on that.
Okay, that's absolutely wonderful. Okay, go ahead.
So our mission is primarily to support the men and women of the Stockton Police Department. Our goal is to support them through whatever activities they need to have. So we are there for crisis, for support in any kind of family crisis that they're going through in their personal life.
Mm-hmm.
There are quite a number of events that law enforcement has ongoing that we are there for when they come across suicide, when they come across fatal accidents, those kinds of things. And we're there for department members also. So you have dispatchers that will take phone calls of some very drastic situations.
Oh,
that are
I can
impacted.
imagine, yes.
We have our field evidence technicians that have to go out and photograph some of the most horrific things you can imagine. And so we're there to help support them and encourage them as well. Now, a really exciting thing happened just recently. We're at our 3-year mark with our wellness unit.
And that is what?
Okay, we just received a national award for our wellness unit here in Stockton. And what that is, it's a wellness unit.
Okay.
And what that is it's a group of individuals that are specifically designed to address the issues of wellness within the department. So we work on the spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being of our department members. The idea being that healthy department members can be proficient in their work and withstand the plethora of crises that occur within their work line of work.
So you're talking about police officers, dispatchers, or anybody that has any contact with any of some of the horrendous criminal activities that happen here in our community then?
Absolutely. We work in a crisis-driven, problem-driven industry, which is very caustic and very negative, and public sentiment's been a little tough. It is the hardest it's ever been to be in law enforcement right now. Many years ago, when I was a police officer, the public sentiment about law enforcement was much more supportive than it is today. And so as police officers, they struggle with some of the attitudes from the public and some of the additional scrutiny. Now, that's also been a positive. The additional scrutiny, while it can create some stress, it also helps us in our jobs because it gives us a good and fair balance in showing how we do our work.
Excellent. Very good. And the police officers now, with your guidance, you're doing a lot of things in the community, I understand. A lot of things with the community people and schools. And can you tell us about those things?
Sure. So our primary mission is to support the police department. And in addition to that, in order to further implement the mission of the police department, we are in the schools. A few years back when the Stockton bankruptcy hit and we had to reduce the police force, we also had to reduce the police presence in schools. So the school resource officers were taken out. The chief at the time wanted to maintain presence in the schools, and so the chaplaincy was able to step up, and we go into the schools with a police-like uniform. So we have on badges, and we have on the Stockton patch. So we appear and obviously represent the police department. And in that, we have the opportunity to encourage kids and help them to understand what they need to know about the police department. And we also provide the mentorship and guidance for them.
That's excellent. And so a lot of our youth today have a lot of fear that is taught by other peers, even by some parents of the police department. And so what you're doing in going to the schools, what have you found to be very positive of your presence with the students?
Well, Connie, you're exactly right. Unfortunately, a lot of our students are seeing and hearing things on social media that they don't quite understand.
Right.
And maybe not have the full story on. And so what we find is we are able to go into school and help provide a well-rounded story for them, give them more information. But probably the best part is we have the opportunity to invite the officers into the schools and let them meet the officers firsthand. We'll bring in canines, or we'll bring in some of our officers in their uniforms, and they seem a little scary at first. But what the kids learn is there's a real human being in front of them. Right. And then a lot of times they're funny, easy to get along with, and they get a whole different perspective about our officers.
Have you done this in the high schools?
We have. We primarily work in the elementary schools. Stockton Unified School District has been very helpful in allowing us to come and volunteer on a campus. When we do, we hit typically the 1st through 8th grade components. But we've also been in some of the high schools, and one of the things that we're able to do in the high schools is we talk a lot about some of the bullying issues that are going on. We talk about digital crimes like Facebook stalking and things like that. So we kind of help raise awareness. And probably one of the most important things that we bring awareness to is human trafficking. It's a pretty scary thing going on in our community, and we try to bring good information to our students. And
yeah, the human trafficking is something that I truly believe that a lot should be talked about in the high school age and junior high school age, because those become the targets, especially those who try to run away from home or try to get into drugs and are on the street, and those are the targets for human trafficking. And it's big here in Stockton, California. It's all over California, all over the United States. And this, going in and talking about that with the high school age is wonderful. It brings more awareness, and it's not talked about enough, I think. That's excellent.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And then what are you doing with our younger students? I understand you have a youth program.
Yeah, we have a couple areas that we work with our youth. We have the Stockton Police Youth Activities, which is actually a component of the police department. Mm-hmm. And with them, we come alongside to support them in their work and their outreach. So they have a karate class, they have boxing, so they have a variety of different things. They also have a cadet program that helps with the kids that want to enter law enforcement and maybe are looking to get a step up on that experience, or kids that just enjoy a structured environment. It allows them to have that great opportunity. So we come alongside of them in those works. But one of the things that we're doing that I find really impressive is our Special Forces Boys Camp. And in that camp, what we do is we typically focus on the 10 to 14-year-old boys that come from homes that may not have a role model of a father and are facing financial difficulty and maybe not doing well in school. And we bring them out to a camp where they are partnered with police officers, and they're given an opportunity to learn from police officers some of the life skills.
Life skills, definitely.
You know, how to treat a lady, how to tie a tie, how to barbecue successfully without burning down the house, how to build bicycles and do bicycle repair, and those kinds of things. And we find that a couple things happen in the process. First of all, the boys really enjoy the attention and the opportunity to learn about some of those critical things. And our police officers are having an opportunity to make a long-term difference in a boy where otherwise they might have just a short contact with and really not see the outcome of their mentoring.
How long is this camp? And after the camp is over, do you keep any kind of contact with these youth that go through this camp, or bring them back to another level of a camp, or what do you do? Absolutely.
The camp is in its third year, and we're continuing to grow and refine our program. But you're right. We have the initial camp was a week long, and we matched the officers with the students there, and then they're encouraged to maintain contact with them throughout the year. So on occasion they'll check in, typically monthly, and just kind of keep an ongoing dialogue with them. And then we have a few events.
You mean the officers keep an ongoing dialogue with the student? Okay.
So the officer that the youth, the student that you match with them, are there a mentor and they meet in Stockton? They're here in Stockton when they're when they leave and go back home to their normal life, and they go to the police officer have their information.
Yes.
What's been happening? If they're going to playing sport, are they going to have given a goal, or they meet after, let the parent know that they're going to visit them and keep contact, or what?
Each one of them is kind of individual to the kids' needs and the time of the officer. But you're right. They stay in touch with the parent, mom, and they will go and do events according to the child's schedule and to the officer's schedule, and stay connected with them. Occasionally, there will be life events that they'll have, maybe moving from one location to another, or something significant like that, where the officer will come alongside of those situations and make sure that they're invested in that time as well. The interesting thing is, our police officers are very altruistic people.
Now, when you say that, exactly what are you meaning?
Well, they like to help others. That's why they came into law enforcement. And altruism is looking out for the benefit or the needs of other people without a concern for yourself. And that's what a lot of them come into law enforcement with, this attitude of altruism.
Right.
Over a period of time, the kind of work that they're in has a tendency to tear down that altruism. They become cynical. And the negativity wears on them. And what we're finding is these types of relationships help to maintain and restore their altruism.
Oh, I can understand that because...
So, hold on. Can you give me another terminology of altruism?
Altruism?
Yeah. Give me another word. There's no sign language for altruism.
Okay.
Definition.
They selflessly help others.
Okay.
Selfishly help others.
Okay. So you that time and you selfishly selfishly help other people. Okay.
Does that work?
Keep going. Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Well, I can understand that, Chaplain, because you go into something that you really have your heart into it, and you want to do good for others. But in the meantime, you're still having to protect the community. You see some of the terrible things that go on. Sometimes the officers, like you say, we've seen this in the last few years of where officers all over the United States are being attacked and not getting the support of their governments or their communities, being blamed for things that they should not be blamed for. And so I can understand how when you have this real desire to help and you're being treated in a non-respectful way by the community that you want to help, how that can be torn down. But as you have developed these programs here in Stockton with our police department, I can see where that gives the police officers another chance of building that wanting to help others back up again, because they're taken away from the evil things that they have to deal with all the time and deal with the good things and making a good impression and teaching our youth and teaching our parents and teachers and other people in the community that a police officer is not evil. Police officer is good and is there for our protection, but also for teaching too. And so I'd like you to continue with what all you do in the neighborhoods of Stockton.
Well, let me pause just for a minute, if you don't mind. One of the things we want to remember is there's a strong evidence of the impact of law enforcement on our officers. For instance, the divorce rate in law enforcement is quite a bit higher than in the secular communities. It's at 60 to 70%. Suicide is incredibly high. In fact, officers are killing themselves faster than they're being attacked by felons. Felonious deaths are less than suicide. So it's a really scary thing. Alcoholism is high. Domestic violence is high in the industry. So these are indicators that working in the field that they're working in has a huge impact on their lives, and they have to be very intentional about countering that. So these programs are just some of the ways that we help them balance their lives so that they don't have that kind of impact from the job.
Well, I can understand that. Years ago, I worked for the correctional departments of California, and some of the officers also had the desire of helping and helping to rehabilitate the prisoners, but they also got very cynical. The job was very stressful, and there were a lot of divorce, a lot of suicide, and a lot of alcoholism too. I think it's because of the severe stress. But when you can take the time to put your feelings in another direction than what the stress is causing, like your programs, that helps the balancing. And I saw the same thing with correctional officers too. Many years ago when I worked with the correctional officers.
You don't have to count how many.
No. No. That's,
okay.
Thank you.
Really? That's awesome. Okay, now, I understand that you have program for the youth program that help the police officer to gain some trust, gain some mentorship, keep their mind focused on helping, instead of thinking on the negative things on people in the community. Now, when that program is taken away, I mean, set aside for next summer for the camp, the retreat, are there other programs for the police officer go to the community event where they be themselves a lot like with an adult instead of the youth? Is there any program for that?
Not through the chaplaincy, but the Stockton Police Department has several things.
Okay.
They have the Coffee with Cops, Cocoa with Cops. Yeah, there's a whole section of things there.
What are those?
And those are just opportunities for the community to interact with the department. And it's really from the top down. The chief will oftentimes be at these events, and they can interact with the community, talk with anybody who shows up really about their concerns. So
and,
that's
and
a great.
What are these called?
It's called Coffee with the Cops.
Coffee with the Cops.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Or Cocoa with the Police. Sometimes
like a
it's
town hall
lemonade with the
meeting or
police.
something.
Well,
Yeah.
lot less. It's much more informal.
Informal, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's real casual. It's usually hosted by a business or organization, and just relax, have a little bit of coffee, and just see who shows up and what they want to talk about.
Now, how do you advertise this, and who in the community has participated? I mean, what groups of people, what location do they live, etc.?
Well, the PIO for the Stockton Police Department is really good about putting out all this information through Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
So that's out there for folks. If you want to check in on those, you can see what's going on, what's
so
coming
Stockton Police Department has a Facebook?
Oh, yes.
And you're on Twitter?
Absolutely.
All right. There
Yep.
you go. Okay.
Yeah, I've been to, I know that they often go to Barnes and Noble over there, and they're also been on El Dorado and Harding. They meet coffee. There's one in McDonald. So they've been influenced a lot more. I have seen it. It's really. They usually start around 7 in the morning until 9 in the morning. That interact with police officer, which is good. You see you get the motorcycle police officer. You get you see the paddy wagon. What I call it, the paddy wagon. Those little, I don't know what they call it, those van or something. And so it brings a lot of, they're showing the car, the thing, and the first thing you did is say, hi, how you doing? I like, it tell you the level of stripe, get some information, It's really awesome, it's really good to interact with police officer. But, though I think that's even good too, but an adult in the community, the police also had, I remember they had the blue ball, the light bulb, protect, they had that, they were donating those lights you put on your porch.
Oh, sure.
I went there, I was like, wow, it was awesome, everybody was there, even the media was there, so it was a good common camaraderie, because there was a lot of people, brutality from left to right.
Yes.
If one took it, it's another. Somebody got hurt. Now somebody got hurt. Both get hurt. Each side. It's like back and forth, like ping pong. So the news media, to me, I look at the news media tended to focus on what you want to direct you there, and then when it's not good, now they're gonna do the new one to go to another person and deal with that face. The news media, so they go to both directions. So it's really awful, So I think that's where the negative comes from. We don't need we hear too much negative. We need to be more positive.
Right, and having these, you call it Coffee
with the Cops.
Coffee with the Cops.
Pretty catchy.
Yes, it is. That is great. We need a lot of that.
Yeah, they're pretty prolific. We usually have at least one or two a month, and sometimes more than that. And they oftentimes will be different time zones. So sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, sometimes on the weekends. trying to have an opportunity for the community to be aware. One thing you probably want to hear about is there's an app for your smartphone. If you want to download the Stockton PD app, it has on there the Facebook, the Twitter, but it also has things like crime stats and crime mapping. It also has on there a contact if you want to submit some information, so tip reporting and things like that.
Excellent.
Great way to keep connected with how Stockton is reaching out into the community and what information they're passing to the community they feel is important.
That's excellent. So if any of you with your smartphones and can add an app, go to that and get that app. That would be excellent, because we don't always get the information in our newspaper.
Right.
And we don't really hear sometimes on the radio, because a lot of people don't listen to the radio. But knowing that you have a Facebook page and you are on Twitter, I'm a great Twitterer. Or a tweeter.
Tweeter?
I don't know what you
and the
call
president.
Yes, I tweet him too.
Okay.
But I think that's excellent. It gives the opportunity for people in our community here to really get to know what you're doing and what our police department's doing, and become more familiar and have less fear of the police. I know a lot of teenagers and a lot of people, they see a police car and they get scared, and sometimes they'll stop going so fast or roll the windows up so the marijuana smell doesn't go out the windows and so forth. But there should not be a fear. There should be a knowing that here you have protection in your community, and you have police officers that care about your community, just like you're talking about all of the other things that the chaplaincy of the Stockton Police Department does. To me, I've been in Stockton since 1945, and I've seen such huge changes. I've seen gangs be coming into Stockton. I've seen communities, especially since we've had the being non-segregated. I've seen communities coming together with all people in Stockton, not just back in the 40s and 50s. There were people only on one side of town, and other people on another side of town, and other people on the other side of town. And now we've all come together. And I know where I was raised, one street it's city, and the next street over is county.
Mm-hmm.
So we have both the city police and the sheriff's department, which is county, working together on many things, and especially with drugs. And this makes me feel much more comfortable knowing that we have a communication going between both our sheriff's department and our city police. And so these programs that you're talking about, the other one is, have you told us about the Chief's Neighborhood Impact Team?
Great segue.
Okay.
I love that. Yes, working in the community is really important to the Stockton Police Department. And one of the things that the chaplaincy has been able to do is coming alongside one of Chief Jones's projects that he's doing to reach out into the community and to help take care of the community. And it's called the Neighborhood Impact Protocol.
Okay, I'm going too fast. Community Impact Protocol?
Protocol, yes.
Let's call this, let's say the Neighborhood Impact Team.
Impact Team. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And it's comprised of community service officers, and chaplains. And sometimes the district attorney will be there, or different city resources will be there. And what we do is we go in after a traumatic event in the community. For instance, if there's been a homicide, we'll come in sometimes 2, 3, maybe a week later, and we'll knock door to door in that community. And
where the event happened?
Where the event occurred. And the goal of it is twofold. One is we want to remind them that Stockton Police Department is still here. And sometimes that's been a complaint, is once everything's done, the crime scene tape comes down, that we go away. Well, that's not exactly true. It's just that we're not quite as evident. So this helps them see that, yeah, we're still here. We're still concerned about the event that's occurred in your neighborhood and your overall safe and well-being. So we talk to them about tips for safety, and we talk to them about ways to communicate information to the department if that's necessary. And we're really intentional about seeing if there's any concerns that we can address while we're there. And what we've found is there's a lot of folks that, because of the fear of what's going on in their community, may be very restricted in their, the way they live. They're keeping their kids in the house. They're not going out in the street because of what's going on in the neighborhood. And this just helps them to see, yeah, somebody does care about those conditions, and somebody is working to make that a better place.
That's wonderful.
I have something to say.
Okay.
That is totally awesome. I like the way you said it. It showed, when the police are present, it showed protection. They're looking for, like, somebody thinks, oh, they're looking for somebody. They're here, present. I feel safe. I remember before I was a commissioner, we had a neighborhood watch group before I moved in, and I was going there and I was meeting my neighbor, but most of my neighbors are owner. They're elderly people by the time we were there. So what happened that when we got into the neighborhood and then I moved to another location and we rented out my house, and then I came back, no more, but so I asked the police officer to bring that within that area I want to have it again. And the first thing he told me, he said, neighborhood watch don't work. Neighborhood watch don't work. That was a while ago. I mean, it was like, I don't know if he's still coming, but he was telling me, just a concerned citizen that I want to bring back the community in my street, in my neighborhood. But now we got a lot of renter, and right. Where I live, it's a lot of go. There's a bus stop and there's a drug and there's a correctional building everybody go up and they smoke pot, they do drugs right there in that area. And I'm like, oh God, and especially when I'm eating and I see them in my windows right there, and then they're just parking there and they're just shooting it up and just staying there for a little bit and then leave. And so, and also we have a truck route that kind of go right into our street, but they're giving up into a narrow street and they're tweeting the semi truck going into that bit, and it had no truck route, and they see it, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? But anyway, that's something that neighborhood would need to be bring back. I think something that is very important, like when we had the they had a block party, then that's the incident that occurred, like, okay, that'd be the best time to get them into the neighborhood watch group program like that. So I personally think that's an opportunity like that, to have when they're in an event and the police are present and you're gonna say, hey, you know what, that's well thing. But now when I look back, I still have that sign.
Neighborhood watch sign.
But it doesn't exist. So, but I do feel like the police do have a lot of opportunity to meet a lot of neighborhood group too, if they bring that program back to reinforce it. I don't know, but I think they still have that forced in or not.
Well, they still
Absolutely.
have a lot of neighborhood watch in our community here in Stockton and probably other places too. I know you have to have a leader who will start gathering the neighborhood, the people in the neighborhood. And the neighborhood watch areas are so many blocks, and where you're all in one area. And when you get a good group together who really care about their community, and you have a good leader as basically your captain, then the captain would be one of the neighbors who starts the neighborhood watch. Then what is taught by the there's an officer, isn't there an officer at the police department that does neighborhood watch? Yes.
Community service officers, yes.
Yes, the community service. And it was a woman that came to the meeting at the neighborhood watch where I first started that one, and told us what neighborhood watch was, what we should look for, how we should make contact with the police department and deal with things in the neighborhood. And if there's anything suspicious, yes, call. You don't have to give your name. You don't have to give your address or anything if you don't want to. But you tell the police officers or the dispatcher what's happening in your neighborhood. And it's a wonderful way of keeping your neighborhood safe. Plus, when you have a lot of the neighborhood watch groups, they have a monthly meeting, and they have police officers come, and they talk about some of the issues that have happened in the neighborhood or around the neighborhood, and makes everybody aware. But the main thing is you got to get a good leader in the neighborhood that wants to take the time to talk with all the neighbors, bring the neighbors together. And a lot of times people are very shy and they don't know their neighbors like we used to a long time ago. But in some communities, people are getting to know each other, and it's because of the neighborhood watch. And I do feel very strongly when that neighborhood watch sign is up, these people who break into homes and commit crimes, they know somebody's watching them. And I think it's it detours crime more than not having it.
Yes, I agree with that. I think also that when you come to the house, the window have eyes. You don't know who's watching. You may not be somebody there, but the window got eyes, so you don't know who's going to be watching. But there's always somebody there when they have crime there also. So that's awesome. Okay.
Well, and one thing that we find too is when we're out there doing the neighborhood impact team work, is that people who may be hesitant to be part of a neighborhood watch, because of that event, then their interest raises and they become a little more emboldened to join a group and create a neighborhood watch.
Well, I want to share an experience I had where I was living in a senior complex, and this happened a couple of years ago, and somebody shot with a gun, a bullet, right through one of the windows of the second floor of our building. And these are all seniors. And thank the dear Lord that it did not go into an apartment, but it went into a wall, the outside wall of an apartment. But we were attacked. The seniors were attacked. And at the time, some of you who are in Stockton will remember that there's been several robberies and attacks and killing at one of our parks, Victory Park, of seniors.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a ration of things happening to seniors. And I called the police department, and the police came out. We had pictures taken. The news media came out. And I and a couple of others, we went to the, we had another issue about ADA safety of the streets, and we went to the city council. And it was the day after, or that day, I think it was, that it was in the newspaper about our building being shot at, and that we were very serious seniors, and that we wanted more protection, and there were more write-ups in the newspapers about things that happened to seniors. But from that incident, too, we developed a neighborhood watch, and stronger neighborhood watch. And we actually started within our building of 4 floors, and I don't know, several hundred people, and we're all seniors, many with disabilities, started to also do watching of our community more, and not afraid to call 911 and say, hey, I hear gunshots. And actually a lot of gunshots around where I was living at that time at the east end of my street. And so we began to really pay attention, but it took a bad situation before people started paying attention. And I would say if you don't have neighborhood watch in your community, wherever you live, don't wait for something bad to happen. Get it now. If you don't have it, go to your police department and say, hey, we want to start a neighborhood watch. Like you've done here in Stockton.
Absolutely. And even if you don't have a neighborhood watch, you can still be intentional about sharing information with the police department. Absolutely. I think sometimes we forget that as citizens of the Republic, we all have a responsibility for the safety, the lawfulness, and well-being of our community.
That's exactly right. That's very true. And we should not just expect the police department to take care of every matter. We need to be vigilant ourselves. And if there's things wrong, you see bad things happening, let the police department know. And like I said, you don't have to tell who you are at all. You don't have to say your name or anything. You just say, this is what is happening at such and such location. And give the information, as much information as you can, to the police department, because they're not in every single spot of your town.
Right.
So we all have to take care of each other. And that's what it sounds like you're doing through the chaplaincy of the Stockton Police Department, reaching out to all the people in Stockton,
Absolutely.
no matter where they live.
Well, we
I have
are
a
working.
question before, okay. Before we go any further, I'd like to break a rumor, okay, and I want you to help me correct it, Laura. A lot of people think that when you call 911 and you don't want to give your name or your address, they're not going to take it seriously. False or true?
That would be absolutely false. They're going to take every single call seriously.
Okay, did you hear that?
Absolutely.
Because I've been told by my neighbor that they're going to take it seriously if you don't give their name, because they'd probably be a host. Because if you don't give their name, that means the police, they're telling me that the police will take your name seriously if they will go through with it. But I want to make sure that's just a rumor. I want to make sure that you call, they take your, you call 911 and give your information, give you a tip. They really take it seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I would even offer another myth, and that is that somebody else is going to report whatever's going on. If you hear shots fired, you think, well, somebody's going to report that.
Right.
Maybe there's going to be so many reported, I shouldn't report it. Well,
Exactly.
it's really important that you call in. If something's going on in your community and there's a cause for concern, you should call in, because sometimes the other people are thinking that exact same thought, and it doesn't get reported.
That's right. I have called several times, 911, reported accidents or reported some other strange things happening. And several times they've told me, well, somebody already has called on that and the police are on their way. And that
Perfect.
makes me feel absolutely fantastic because, like you say, don't think somebody else is going to do it. Do it yourself. And if somebody else has done it, then it means your community's watching.
Absolutely.
And that's very reassuring.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. And
Are we about?
no, we got plenty of time. 15
Oh,
more minutes.
great. Okay.
Well, I got one more thing I want to share
Oh,
with you.
definitely, please.
So,
5 more minutes. Okay.
this year is our 20th year with the Stockton Police Chaplaincy.
Oh,
So
my.
it's a celebration year for us, showing what God's been able to do for us. And it's our 10th year of the school resource program.
Oh, my gosh. That's
So
wonderful.
pretty exciting. And this year we're working hard on adding an additional program called our community chaplains. And the goal of the community chaplains is to have pastors that volunteer working out in the community where most of our police chaplains work within the police department. These community chaplains will work out in the community, but with their relationship to the department, not only will they carry the mission of the department, but they will be a good liaison between the community and the police department. So right now you have the police department and the community, and we have the police chaplains to kind of help build that bridge across.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But because we're in uniforms, there's frequently we are perceived as the police. So there's still a little bit of a barrier there. So with the community chaplaincy, they'll kind of help complete that bridge over the community. They won't be in uniform, and they'll be members of the community, trained to participate in crisis situations, and they'll be generally out there working on the health and well-being of the community. So they'll be focused on the mission of the department, building trust and support within the community, and being a good liaison to the department from the community. So helping to bring questions of concern or problems up to the department as well.
That's wonderful. And this is all volunteer by the pastors.
Volunteers. Yep.
Volunteers.
And we'll be looking at folks that are probably already kind of participating in this particular way in the community, so they have a history of that, so they're well known in the community. and they're just joining our work together. So it helps kind of bring some synergy to the work that we're doing and taking care of Stockton.
I think what's happening with the police department here in Stockton, I believe that other cities have some of the same kind of programs, and not just Stockton, California. And these are the type of things, the reaching out, and the police officers, the chief of police, and other officials of the city working in the community. It takes away the fear. It puts more positiveness and the realization that the police are just not there to cause fear in people or whatever, but they're there to make the whole community come together. And I can see through these programs and the future of these programs that's exactly what you're going to do here in Stockton. You're going to bring us more and more together. That's wonderful. Absolutely.
Okay, and that note, we're about time. Thank you, Chaplain Jesse Kenyon, for coming. It's really an honor to come and let the people in the community know that there are other chaplains that go out and help and build a bridge over in the community. And I really appreciate coming and show awareness in the community. Thank you for your time and coming to this show. I hope it'll be future programs. You could bring more to good news coming back.
Oh, yes.
That'd be great. I also thank Connie for helping me with the question when I'm signing. It's really an awesome for your help. Without your help, I couldn't make it without that. Okay, so good. Everybody, thanks for watching the bit at KXVS, the voice of Stockton. Thank you so much for watching.